Hello, welcome to La Excellence. Under ReCAP 2021 program, we are revising current affairs for UPSC Prelims 2021. So we are discussing September 2020's issues. We have already discussed part 1 of this particular month. Now we will be discussing part 2 of it in this particular video. PDF of this is available in the description. If you want to join the test series related to this particular current affairs revision program, you can join so by clicking on the below link in the description. Now let us start. Let us discuss IR related current issues, international relations related current issues. First one is concept of data free flow with the trust. In the G20 meet of 2020, our Commons Minister has said that India is not in a position to implement data free flow with trust. What is this data free flow with trust? It's an initiative which is part of Osaka track, which is launched in the year 2019. This promotes for international cooperation on data flow between the governments involving and also governments, and it recommends for high levels of trust and openness through talks and trade. That means digital flows through digitization with the trust. That means there are no structures as of now for the free flow of data. This particular concept seeks for that. But India says, what about privacy? What about security? What about access to data, industrial policy, national regulations? These are all act as restrictions. In this context, cross-border movement of data, we have certain concerns as of now. We cannot implement it. That's the argument. What is G20 then? Previously in UPSC there was a question on this. G20 is a group of 19 countries with European Union. This is a group and then plus 19 countries. And there are representatives from IMF and World Bank also. G20 member countries, they comprise mix of world's largest advanced and emerging countries. 85% of global GDP, 80% of global investment, 75% of global trade happens between these G20 countries. Please go through these names. Earlier in UPSC, they have asked which of the following is not a G20 country. So go through the names. India is part of G20 country. Next issue is Eastern Mediterranean crisis. In part 1, while discussing geography map point, we have discussed about Crete Island, which is part of East Mediterranean crisis. Now let's see what is this East Mediterranean crisis. There is this particular region known as Aegean Sea. Here this is Mediterranean Sea. In the Mediterranean Sea, especially eastern part, is rich of oil and natural resources. Here European Union and its allies, many countries, they want to build West Asia and North America pipeline. They want to reduce their dependence on Russia for gas. That's why they want to build a pipeline. Turkey was kept out of this particular gas pipeline. And gas transport, yes, this reduces European Union's dependence on Russia. In 2019, Eastern Mediterranean Gas Forum, this was formed. Again, Turkey was excluded from this. Now Turkey says, see, how can you explore gas when we have conflicting claims here? Turkey says this purple line is its border. Cyprus says the green line its border. Greece says this particular island of Castellozzo is Greece island. So from here, 200 nautical miles is its exclusive economic zone. So it says it has the exclusive right over there, and Libya says we have the right over here. That's why there is a conflicting goals or conflicting claims from various countries, which is known as Eastern Mediterranean claims. So you have to go through the maps and you have to go through what is the meaning of Eastern Mediterranean crisis, East Mediterranean gas forum, and why Mediterranean region is important now, why gas is important for the West European countries. We have to know all these points. See, this is the island which belongs to Greek. And this is the concept of exclusive economic zone. From the baseline, 200 nautical miles line is known as exclusive economic zone. So if it is Greece island, then 200 nautical miles belongs to Greece. But Turkey says this is ours. So that's why there is a conflicting claims. Next issue is Abraham Accords. Last year, Abraham Accords were signed. What is the meaning of Abraham Accords can be a question. Abraham Accord was signed between Israel, United Arab Emirates and Bahrain, and it is mediated by USA. This is the first Arab-Israeli peace deal in the last 26 years. Egypt is the first Arab state that signed a peace deal with Israel in 1979. After that, Jordan signed a peace deal. Now these two countries, UAE and Bahrain, they signed a peace deal with Israel, which is known as Abraham Accords. Go through the map of this: Qatar, Bahrain, this is UAE. Go through the maps of these areas. This is Israel, this is Jordan, this is Egypt. Next one is UNSC Resolution 1267. This number is important because last year Pakistan has requested UNSC 1267 committee to designate 4 Indians as the terrorists, and this committee has rejected it. This is known as Committee for Counter-Terrorism Sanctions. This is the committee which imposes sanctions to counter the terrorism. UNSC Resolution 1267 Sanction Committee. This committee oversees the implementation of sanctions with regard to UNSC Resolutions 1267, 1989 and 2253. These three are related to counter-terrorism. This used 1267 committee, the resolution was taken up in 1999. It is one of the most important active UN subsidiary bodies. This committee is the UN subsidiary body to combat terrorism, especially Al-Qaeda, Taliban, Islamic State, etc. It prepares a list of people associated with these organizations. It discusses UN's efforts to counter the terrorism. UNSC Resolution 1267 is related to Committee on Counter-Terrorism Sanctions. You have to remember this name. Next one is Quad and Freedom of Navigation of Operations. Quad is also known as Quadrilateral Security Dialogue. It is an informal strategic dialogue between 4 nations, democratic nations known as India, USA, Japan and Australia, with an objective of a free and open and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. This idea was first started in 2007 by Shinzo Abe, earlier Prime Minister of Japan. In 2012, Shinzo Abe has also floated an idea called as Democratic Security Diamond. Democratic Security Diamond, 4 countries together. And then in 2017, India, USA, Australia, Japan, they all met and they gave shape to this particular grouping. Till then, that just was an idea. Only in 2017, they met. In this context, they seek for UNCLOS. UNCLOS means United Nations Convention on Law of Seas, as they are seeking for open, free and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. UNCLOS is the international convention that deals with this. UNCLOS came into force in 1994. This 168 member countries are there. India ratified this convention. USA has not signed, not ratified this convention. Freedom of navigation of operations means every year USA's Navy, it conducts the operations in the exclusive territorial waters of the coastal nations. It says that every part of the ocean should be open. That's why it conducts freedom of navigation of operations. In September 2020, our CDS, Chief of Defence Staff, said Quad grouping helps for this. But this year in 2020, under this freedom of navigation of operations, USA came near to India's territorial waters. Then we criticized it. That's a different issue. We will discuss in that month's issue. Now, what is India's Exclusive Economic Zone Act of 1976? This is the act where India legally defined the concept of EEZ, and it regards the passage of vehicles with regard to passage of vehicles. Section 4.2 of this particular act, this allows the foreign warships, including submarines, to enter into India's territorial waters. Territorial waters means 12 nautical miles from the baseline. It allows them, but they have to give the notice to the central government. Next issue is Doha Agreement. This is in news now because of Afghanistan crisis. At the time, this was in news because this Doha Agreement was signed. There were talks. That's why this was in news. USA signed a deal with Taliban insurgents and 18-year war with Afghanistan. Now it became 20-year war. So ending 20-year war with Afghanistan. in the place called Doha. That's why this agreement is known as Doha Agreement. It excluded the Afghanistan government from this deal. The five important features of Doha Agreement include troops withdrawal. By 2021 August, USA and NATO forces would be completely withdrawn from the Afghanistan government. Taliban will not allow any foreign terror organizations, including Al Qaeda, on its soil. Prisoners will be exchanged. Sanctions would be removed. Intra-Afghan dialogue would be promoted by the Taliban and Afghanistan government. These are the important points of Doha Agreement. If you look at now about the Doha Agreement, you will see contraventions done by the Taliban with regard to all these points. Next issue is G4 on United Nations Security Council reforms. G4 means group of 4 countries. It includes India, Brazil, Japan and Germany. These countries, they participated in a virtual meet. They have demanded for UNSC reforms. What are the demands of G4? This G4 group of 4 countries, they are seeking for greater participation of members from Africa. As of now in UNSC, no permanent member is there from Africa. So non-permanent member categories, that is there one, but permanent category should be there. And these 4 countries are contesting for to be part of permanent members. There are 5 permanent members, 10 non-permanent members in UNSC. Now we also want to be permanent members. Now enhanced role of developing countries and major contributors to the UN. This UN system, when it came into force in 1940s, only few countries were dominating. Now many countries developed, they are contributing more to the UN in terms of funding and manpower like India. So we should be given more representation. That's the argument. But then there are certain countries which oppose for this reform. That is Coffee Club, which is also known as UCG, Uniting for Consensus Group. They oppose the United Nations Security Council reforms. They oppose the role of regional countries in UNSC. Italy and Spain, they oppose Germany's bid for UNSC. Pakistan opposes for India's bid for UNSC. Argentina opposes Brazil's bid for UNSC. Australia opposes Japan's bid for UNSC. Likewise, these all countries formed this UCG, United for Consensus Group, which is known as Coffee Group. Informally, it is known as Coffee Group. What are these G4 countries? That can be a question. What are their demands can be a question. Next issue, important issue, is Acquisition and Cross-Servicing Agreement. ACSA, Acquisition and Cross-Servicing Agreement. This agreement is signed between India and Japan to share the logistic. This is a logistic agreement. We have similar agreements with USA, Australia, France, Oman and Singapore. According to this agreement, our ships, submarines, they can go to Japan coast and they can recharge and refuel or engage in the strategic partnership. So this is a significant thing because we are not establishing military base, but our presence will be felt there because of this logistics agreement, acquisition and cross-servicing, because we want to enhance our presence in the Pacific region. We don't have refueling stations there. That's why this agreement helps. Acquisition and cross-servicing agreement is signed between India and Japan. This is a logistic agreement. With regard to logistic agreement, we have LEMOA, Logistics and Memorandum of Agreement with USA. And with Australia, France, Oman and Singapore, we have similar agreements. Next, let us understand science and technology issues. First issue is Defense Acquisition Procedure 2020. Defense Acquisition Procedure 2020 is proposed by Ministry of Defense. It is to promote indigenization of defense equipment. Under Defense Ministry, many initiatives are taken. One of the measures is Defense Procurement Procedure, or which is also known as Defense Acquisition Procedure. Under that, indigenous content would be promoted. Leasing has been introduced as a new category. A new category of Buy Global Manufacture India is introduced. Price variation clause is introduced. That means if the provider is unable to provide us with the equipment within the given specified time, we pay them less, something like that. So there are many categories provided under Defense Acquisition Procedure. What are the things that are newly added? That can be a prelims question. So Buy Indian by Indian category, earlier defense procurement procedure and the recent defense acquisition procedure. What are the differences? Indigenization content is now increased to minimum 50% by Indian category. Indigenous design minimum 50%, otherwise minimum 60%. Buy and make in India, indigenous content is increased. Buy global and manufacture in India, earlier was not there. Buy global was not there. Now we have these two. Plus lease category. Lease Indian, lease global. We are going to lease the equipment, use them for some time and then give back. These categories were newly added. Defense acquisition procedure and defense procurement procedure are to promote the defense indigenization and faster mobilization of defense equipment. Next issue is Rafale air fighter jets. In September, we received a first batch of Rafale fighter jets. 3 single seat and 2 twin seat Rafale fighter jets were received. These will be placed in Haryana's Ambala Air Base. Rafale is twin engine multi-role combat aircraft. Specifications of it includes it is capable of ground support, aerial reconnaissance, in-depth strikes, interception, nuclear deterrence. Very important. Nuclear deterrence. Its range is huge. It can target a particular object at 3,700 kilometers range. It can carry nuclear as well as normal warheads. And India's specific additions are there, like Israeli helmet mounted displays, radar warning receivers, low band jammers, 10-hour flight recording, infrared search and tracking system which helps in night surveillance. These are some of the important points with regard to Rafale aircraft. Rafale, very important. It's a multi-role aircraft manufactured by Dassault Aviation of France. Next issue is Global Innovation Index 2020. Global Innovation Index 2020 was released by World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO. It provides detailed metrics about innovation performance of 131 countries. Recently, for the year 2020, we achieved 48th rank out of 131 countries. There are overall 80 indicators that are explored. Out of these 80, seven cumulative areas are considered. One is knowledge and technology outputs, market sophistication, business sophistication, human capital outreach, institutions, creative outputs and infrastructure. These are 7 areas which are considered to give this particular ranking. From 2005 with the rank 81 to 2020 with the rank 848, we improved in the last 6 years. In this context, this is the first time we are in the top 50 rank. This particular index is annually published by Cornell University, INSEAD and World Intellectual Property Rights Organization, WIPO. These are some of the measures that are taken to promote the innovation. That's why India's innovation ranking increased. One is Nidhi program, Prayas program, Technology Business Incubators, Atal Innovation Mission, Atal Incubation Centers, and Technology Incubation Entrepreneurship Scheme, BIRAC, that is Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council, BioNest program, Seed funding, LEAP funding, Uchitar Shiksha Avishkar Abhiyan, R&D innovation companies, and then FDI through DPIIT. These are the measures taken by Indian government to promote innovation in India. Next issue is hypersonic technology demonstration vehicle was successfully tested by DRDO. Hypersonic means the vehicle that moves with speeds more than 5 Mach is known as hypersonic. This hypersonic technology demonstration vehicle that we tested recently, it moved with more than 6 Mach. That means it is more than 5, right? That's why hypersonic. This hypersonic vehicle reached up to the height of 30 kilometers height, where heat shields are separated at the supersonic speeds. It used a scramjet engine in which air breathing propulsion is used. That means air is taken in the course of the flight at the supersonic speeds, and then it reaches to hypersonic speeds. It is used in the hypersonic missile systems. Most of the missiles as of now, they use ramjet engine at the supersonic speeds up to Mach 3. Now this particular experiment helps us to move at supersonic speed with scramjet engines. Earlier, we said as of now we are using ramjet engines. Now we are using scramjet engines, which is known as supersonic combustion ramjet engine, which moves with faster speeds. For that, technology demonstration has been successfully done by DRDO. In 2020, in 2016 itself, ISRO has done supersonic testing. Supersonic technology demonstration was done by ISRO in the year 2016 itself. But that is the technology which is used for launch vehicles. This is the technology which will be used for defense missiles. These are some of the details with regard to hypersonic technology demonstration vehicle. Please go through this once. Next issue is convalescent plasma therapy. ICMR has conducted India's largest survey known as Placid Survey. This Placid Survey has found that convalescent plasma therapy is not much effective. That's why ICMR has removed it from the mandatory treatment procedures. Now let's understand what is plasma, how this plasma therapy works. Plasma is the liquid part of the blood which occupies 55% portion of the blood. In this plasma, all the organelles of the blood, that is red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, they float in this. Convalescent plasma is extracted from the blood of the patients recovered from the infection, because from the recovered patients antibodies can be gathered. These antibodies given to the patients which will help them for the faster recovery. Let's say this is the patient recovered. Plasma is taken, not the entire blood, only plasma is taken. This plasma consists of antibodies. Antibodies are proteins which provides immunity. So this will be given to the patient or the persons with high exposure to the COVID infection. So this one is used as a treatment conditions, but the donor of the plasma would be documented first for 28 days. After the symptoms only it will be taken. Blood group need not match, because we are not giving red blood cells, we are giving just plasma. So only plasma component is transferred. So blood group matching need not be there with regard to plasma therapy. Next issue is ASAT missile. So last year, our Department of Post has released ASAT missile, indicating ASAT missile. They have released a stamp known as My Stamp. This is the ASAT missile testing. DRDO has tested it. ASAT means anti-missile satellite. That means we launch a missile which targets the satellite that is placed in the orbit. And its China's maximum range is 10,000 to 30,000 kilometers. We tested at the low Earth orbit, that is 180 to 2,000 kilometers. But DRDO has said that we have the capability to target at the 36,000 kilometers also. Russia tested at 6,000, USA tested at 6,000, India tested up to 1,000 kilometers. But we said we have the capability. We are the fourth country to test this particular ASAT missile. We join the three superpowers. We are the fourth country to have such technology. Israel and other countries, they too have the technology, but they have not tested it. These are some of the details with regard to ASAT technology, which is known as Mission Shakti. Please go through it once. Whatever we have discussed, same things are placed over here. Next issue is assessment of BT cotton. Last year, when there was a discussion about GM crops, which are known as genetically modified crops, BT cotton and its effectiveness was discussed. BT cotton. Here, this is a genetically modified organism where Bacillus thuringiensis bacteria is taken. From that, a toxin gene producing gene is taken, segregated, which will be added to the seeds. This will be placed as part of the GM seeds. When these GM seeds, they secrete the toxin which will be insect resistant. So such crops is known as BT cotton, Bacillus thuringiensis. It is the first GM crop which is given approval in the year 2002. This is the commercial crop. Already there are many experiments that are conducted on BT, brinjal, GM mustard, but as of now, GEAC, Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee, very, very important. GEAC under Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change. This particular GEAC has not given approval. Only this is the commercial crop which is given approval by GEAC. Now, what is the impact of BT cotton? We introduced it in the 2002. So, what are the impacts? Let's see, it has some positives and it has certain problems also. It has increased the yield of the cotton and it has become more effective against the bollworm. Against this only that chemical is secreted. It reduced the use of insecticide. It reduced the cost of cultivation by reducing the insecticide cost. Advantages are there, good. But then the seeds of BT cotton are costly as compared to conventional seeds, and it is ineffective against other types of pests like sucking pests, white fly, etc. And the cost of BT seeds, which are known as terminator seeds, is increasing, and farmers are going debt ridden. Reduction in the gene variability, that is monocropping. Most of the 92% of the cotton crop as of now is using BT cotton. So it is leading to monocropping. These are the concerns and advantages with BT crops. Important. BT cotton. Next issue is brain template. Indian Brain Research Center NBRC is preparing Indian Brain Template. It's one of its kinds of database. It is nothing but bioinformatics. So MRI scanning is done. Through MRI scans, our brain template is stored in the database, which is known as bioinformatics. MRI scans are done. As of now, to detect any of the damages to the brain, we are using brain templates of Europeans. But Europeans belong to Caucasoid race. So their brain size and our brain size are different. That's why indigenous brain templates, for that we are trying for this. Brain templates are MRI images. They provide for anatomical information on human brains. This IBT, Indian Brain Template, is funded by Department of Science and Technology. Indian brain is smaller in height and width as compared to Western and Eastern populations. That's why their templates are not much useful for us. So this Indian brain template would be ideal for Indian population. That's why Department of Science and Technology is funding this particular project. Next issue is gravitational lensing. Gravitational lensing means, let's say, if actual light bends because of this gravity. So let's say we are here. So if the star is here, we observe it over here. So this kind of bending of light is known as gravitational lensing. This is a phenomena where huge amount of matter, let's say a massive galaxy or cluster of galaxies, they create gravitational field. That is gravitational waves. They magnify the light from the objects. So that's why it bends. That means gravitational lensing means natural cosmic telescopes, which are known as gravitational lenses. This gravity force helps us to see where the actual position, where the star is. So this magnify the light from the distant galaxies. That's why we can see them. Space telescopes are there. Using space telescopes, we can observe these actual stars at a different position, but at a very, very distant stars can also be observed using this gravitational lensing procedure. Next issue is Venus Express. Venus Express is European Space Agency's first mission. Venus Express 2005. In 2005 it was launched. Its main task was to observe the global exploration of Venus atmosphere, circumplanetary plasma, and the planet surface. Orbiting this particular orbiting spacecraft observes the atmosphere, plasma on the surface of Venus and the surface of the planet. Venus, it has similar gravity to the Earth, and it has 95% of atmosphere with carbon dioxide. Very, very important. It is called twin of the Earth because of the same size of the planet is same. That's why Venus is known as twin of the Earth. As it has CO2 in its atmosphere, it absorbs the temperatures. That's why very, very high temperatures are recorded. 465 degrees temperatures are recorded on the surface of planet Venus. There are many missions which were announced in the year 2021 with regard to Venus. We will understand them later in the later months. But for now, USA's mission, it has identified the phosphine gas on the Venus surface. That's why it was in use. Next issue is Feluda. Feluda is the name given to the indigenous CRISPR COVID testing tool. CRISPR means clustered, regularly interspaced palindromic repeats. Here, CRISPR test is used for genetic gene analysis. Feluda is the name of the test kit developed by this one CSIR IGIB has funded it. This is nation's India's first CRISPR COVID test developed by Tata Group and CSIR Indian Genomic Institution. CRISPR is a genomic editing tool, very very important, because last year Nobel Prize was given to two women scientists for developing CRISPR-Cas9 method. Tata CRISPR test is world's first diagnostic test which deployed the Cas9 protein successfully to detect the COVID-19. Tata Group is working closely with CSIR. CRISPR Cas9 is the protein. This Cas9 goes and identifies the specific location of the gene in the DNA. That's how CRISPR tool works. Feluda is the indigenous first CRISPR COVID-19 testing tool. Next issue is World Solar Technology Summit. First ever World Solar Technology Summit was organized by International Solar Alliance, headquartered in Gurgaon, and Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. It is to showcase the countries, member states of ISA and the next generation solar technologies. It provides the opportunity for the countries to meet and discuss their solar priorities. And it discusses about the recent solar technologies, cost-wise, effective technologies, and the challenges and concerns to adopt these technologies. Then what is this ISA, International Solar Alliance? It was formed in the France during COP21. India and France together proposed this, and now many countries are part of it. In 2015, it came into force. Its headquarters is located in Gurgaon, Haryana. It provides for coalition of solar resource-rich countries in between the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn to address the energy needs. Especially they want to go for solar energy. It promotes the solar energy development, solar technologies among these countries. Next issue is Vaibhav Summit. Vaibhav's full form is Vaishvak Bharatiya Vaignanik Summit. This was inaugurated on September 2. So that's why October 2, in September, this was news. This is nothing but a global summit wherein we invite overseas and non-resident and overseas Indian scientists and academicians who are working in various technology areas such as quantum technologies, artificial intelligence, machine learning, quantum communications, etc. And the objective is to bring in a roadmap for leveraging Indian technology, Indian minds coming together, a reflection of in-depth collaboration and cooperation among various scientists and academicians to create ecosystem of knowledge and innovation in the country through global outreach. These are the objectives of Vaibhav Summit, Vaishvak Bharatiya Vaignanik Summit. Only Indian scientists are part of it. It's a 1 month long summit. Next issue is findings of Chandrayaan 1. Chandrayaan 1 was launched in the year 2008 using PSLV launch vehicle. So it includes orbiter. And recently, the data from Moon Mineralogy Mapper from Chandrayaan 1, it was analyzed. See, it is not functioning now, but the data of Chandrayaan 1 is analyzed, and this has resulted in identifying the presence of hematite Fe2O3 near the lunar poles. Hematite is the rusted version of iron. If there is rust, that means there's presence of water, yes or no? So water and oxygen presence is there in the polar region. It is proved by Chandrayaan 1 by identifying the hematite ore or hematite resources in the polar region using the Moon Mineralogy Mapper of Chandrayaan 1. This is considered one of the significant achievements of Chandrayaan 1 mission. Next issue is OSMART scheme. Ocean Services Modeling Application Resources Technology. OSMART. This is a scheme. This is to provide ocean research and set up an early warning weather system. Two objectives. One, to promote the research. Two, to promote the early warning weather systems. It addresses the ocean development activities such as services, technologies, resources, etc. Climate change is happening. So what are the impacts of it on ocean changes? Coral reefs damage is happening. Ocean acidification is happening. So under this mission, all these will be researched, and then primarily polymetallic nodule and their importance. See, blue economy is a concept where we use the marine resources for the economic development. Polymetallic nodules, out of them, sulfur metallic nodules and then manganese polymetallic nodules are the two primary components. Manganic polymetallic nodules means rock collections formed of concentrated layers of iron and manganese hydroxides around a core. These consist of copper, nickel, cobalt, lead, zinc, aluminium, silver, gold, platinum. So under OSMART mission, we carry out exploration of polymetallic nodules in the Indian Ocean region at the depth of 5,500 meters. And then we also conduct the survey on gas hydrates, methane gas hydrates. We will understand what is it little later. Methane gas hydrates. Biotech Kisan, full form is Biotechnology Krishi Innovation Science Application Network. This is known as Biotech Kisan. Biotech Kisan program is a farmer-centric scheme for farmers developed by the Department of Biotechnology under Ministry of Science and Technology. It is a hub and spoke model which stimulates the entrepreneurship and innovation among the farmers using biotechnology. So let's say farmers have problems with regard to water, soil, seed and market. They all can be addressed using biotechnology. So that's why the biotechnology innovation hubs, biotechnology Kisan innovation hubs are proposed. It generates the sustainable agriculture bioresources. Overall, we have 8 biotech Kisan hubs in different agroclimatic zones. Biotechnology Kisan centers, Biotech Krishi Innovation Science Application Network. Next issue is KG basin and methane. Just now we said methane gas hydrates, right? So methane gas is trapped in the water molecules which are known as methane gas hydrates. These are available at the bottom of the ocean. With that huge pressure, methane gas is trapped within the molecules of the water which are known as methane gas hydrates. The KG basin has rich methane gas hydrates. That is why this is in news. But as of now, the technology availability is limited. That's why gas hydrates extraction is little difficult. Once the methane gas is brought outside, it can be used as an alternative to the fossil fuels. Next, let us understand governance related issues. The first issue is data protection law and related commissions. Two important commissions are there with regard to data protection law. We know that under Article 21, right to privacy is declared as a fundamental right. Now, for data protection, two important commissions are appointed. One is B.N. Sri Krishna Committee. Second one is Chris Gopalakrishnan Committee. B.N. Sri Krishna Committee is appointed on data protection, and it has suggested the draft bill on data protection also. This particular committee has recommended for appointing a data protection authority. Those who are processing the data, they have to take the informed consent from the people. Users have the right to be forgotten. This is one of the recommendations of B.N. Sri Krishna Committee. Right to be forgotten means if I don't want my data to be there, I can request them to remove that. So right to be forgotten should be there. Right to privacy should be recognized. Storage of critical information needs to be based on a classification of the data, and punishment for violating the law should be there. These are some of the recommendations of B.N. Sri Krishna Committee. Chris Gopalakrishnan Committee is appointed on personal data protection. His committee has recommended that non-personal data generated in India that should be economized. Personal data needs to be protected. Non-personal data, let's say shopping data, etc., that can be economized, and it has recommended for separate national level legislation and separate authority to oversee non-personalized data. This one is personal data protection law. B.N. Sri Krishna Committee. This one has recommended for non-personal data protection law, and it has recommended for mandatory sharing of non-personal data as it will be useful for Indian entrepreneurs in developing the digital solutions. Next issue is Mission Karmayogi. Mission Karmayogi is considered one of the governance reforms in India. It is started by the Department of Personal Affairs. It is to provide for global solutions for the local problems. I got platform is part of Mission Karmayogi. It provides anytime, anywhere learning to train about 2.5 crore civil servants. Lifelong learning is important, enrichment is important. That's why to create continuous, frictionless, guided capacity building for all civil servants, this particular Mission Karmayogi is proposed. Next issue is ban of mobile apps. Government of India has banned certain number of mobile apps from China and other countries, majorly from China, into three trenches. So in this context, what is the power of the government? How can it ban the apps? Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology bans these mobile apps using Section 69A. IT Act 2000 provides Section 69A, which is introduced by an amendment of 2008. This can restrict the use of apps to maintain law and order, to protect sovereignty and surveillance, to protect the public order, etc. Now, many of these apps, as they are stealing the information from the country, that is how the government has put it, stealing the information from the country. That's why these apps are banned. They are a threat to our security. That is the reason. 30 million users, they use Chinese internet apps. So these are many of them are banned in India. So the power of the government is under Section 69A of IT Act. Next issue is National Digital Health Mission, NDHM. National Digital Health Mission is a complete digital ecosystem to provide end-to-end healthcare services. Health ID is provided, personal health records are maintained digitally, Dizzy doctor is available, health facility registries are there. That means where the hospitals are located, we can find it out. Dizzy doctors are there for teleconsultation. Health records are maintained. Health ID is maintained. That's why it is considered as the comprehensive ecosystem for Indian public health. NHDM is implemented by National Health Authority under Ministry of Family and Health Welfare. This National Health Authority is implementing body for Ayushman Bharat. This particular platform will be available in the form of app as well as in the form of website. See, all these individuals, institutions are part of it. That's why NHDM can be considered as a comprehensive ecosystem. Dizzy doctor option in this particular one, it allows the doctors across the country to enroll their details, including their contact number, so others can contact them. Next issue is Indira Gandhi Peace Prize 2020 given to David Attenborough. He is an environmentalist, a writer. He has many roles. Now, David Attenborough has been conferred with Indira Gandhi Peace Prize for 2019, and this is not given by the government. This is the prize given by the trust, Indira Gandhi Memorial Trust, since 1986. It is not given by the government. Please remember this. Indira Gandhi Prize for Peace, Disarmament and Development is annual prestigious award named after former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. This award recognizes individuals as well as organizations who are part of creating new international economic order, promoting international peace and development, ensures scientific discoveries for larger good and humanity. So in these roles, individuals who are part of these roles, they will be given Indira Gandhi Peace Prize 2020. 2019 award is given for David Attenborough in 2020, in the year 2020. Next issue is FCRA 2010 Amendment. Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. This was first enacted in the year 1976. Recently, there are amendments proposed. These amendments are passed by the Parliament. Once this was amended in 2010 to regulate the foreign contributions and donations to various sectors, government organizations and individuals all can get foreign funding under FCRA Rules 2010. This was amended in 2020 again. What are the changes now? Public sector employers are banned from taking foreign contributions. Transfer of funds received from FCRA to other individuals and organizations is prohibited. Administrative expenses. Earlier, administrative expenses can be of amount 50% of total contributions. Now it is reduced to 20%. Aadhaar number is mandatory, providing Aadhaar number of these organizations and functionaries. and they have to register, and if they are unable to register, FCRA registration will be cancelled. Renewable of registration once in 5 years. Designation of FCRA account should be there with the SBI Bank Delhi. Voluntarily, FCRA certificate can be applicable for the non-profit organizations. These are the changes made in the year 2020 through a parliamentary amendment. Next issue is National Medical Commission NMC. National Medical Commission is replaced National Medical Council of India or MCI. It is as per the Gazette of National Health and Family Welfare. In the year 1934, under Indian Medical Councils Act 1933, MCI, Medical Council of India, is appointed as the nodal agency which sets the standards of higher qualifications in medicines, and it also recognizes the medical institutions in India and abroad. Now, government dissolved MCI in the year 2008 through an act, and it replaced with the board of directors chaired by Niti Aayog. Now, it is also been replaced by National Medical Commission. This National Medical Commission has 25 members with the tenure of 4 years, and appointment is by the majority nominated members. Extension cannot be, renominations cannot be done, the members cannot be renominated. Quorum means the minimum number of people to take the decision in the commission is 13 to 25. 13 of 25 should be there. And meeting agenda, at least every quarter they have to meet. Earlier, this was the criteria. There was an allegation of corruption, inefficiency with regard to MCA. That's why new bill has been introduced. It was passed, and then National Medical Commission is introduced now. Next issue is Human Capital Index. World Bank every year releases Human Capital Index. Human Capital Index is released. The rankings are between 0 and 1. Scores are between 0 and 1. And this index is based on 3 major indicators. One is survival, second one is schooling, third one is healthcare. And India is in the 116th position in the index 2020, last year's index, 116th position. These are some of the observations of World Bank with regard to HCI. Please go through it once. Next issue is 5-Star Villages Scheme. Department of Post has launched a scheme called as 5-Star Villages Scheme. It ensures universal coverage of postal schemes in the rural areas. All the schemes of Department of Post, it has to reach the villages. For that, 5-Star Villages Scheme is launched. This scheme is to bridge the gaps in the public awareness and reach of the postal products to the interior of the villages. All the postal products and services will be available under 5-Star Villages Scheme. That means complete. 5 stars means complete. So 5-Star Villages Scheme. Next issue is Pradhana Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. Pradhana Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana is a scheme to bring about Blue Revolution, which is also called as Neel Kranti. Blue Revolution through sustainable, that is environment friendly, plus responsible development of fisheries sector in India. See, fisheries sector is not considering this one. Sustainability is not considered. Now, under Pradhana Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, this has been considered. This scheme intends to address the critical gaps in the fish production and the productivity, quality, technology, post-harvest infrastructure, management, post-harvest management, modernization, strengthening the value chain, traceability. These are all the issues that are discussed under this particular one. That means not just the sector, but the people involved in the sector, their welfare is included under this particular scheme. It addresses issues like low productivity of inland aquaculture, disease and sustainability of marine fisheries, sanitary, phytosanitary, because while exporting, this is the biggest concern. So this will be addressed, and the competitiveness of India's exports. These all the things will be addressed under Pradhana Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, which will be part of Blue Revolution. Blue Revolution. Next issue is Shikshak Parv Initiative. Ministry of Education, Government of India has started outreach program to felicitate the teachers to take the new education policy forward. For that, 15 days program kind of thing is launched by the Ministry of Education, that is known as Shikshak Parv. Shikshak Parv is to promote the equitable and inclusive education, that is learning for all through the teachers by building the awareness. So it's a gender inclusion fund. There are many provisions under national education policy. To take forward national education policy, teachers are encouraged, teachers are trained under this particular Shikshak Parv. Next issue is Sathi initiative. Sathi is nothing but system for assessment, awareness, training and hospitality industry for hospitality industry. Sathi initiative is launched by Ministry of Tourism. This particular one is launched in partnership with Quality Council of India. It's aimed to assist the hospitality industry in their preparedness to continue operations safely during this COVID-19 pandemic period. This initiative is aligned with Atmanirbhar Bharat. And this Sati standards will assist the units preparedness. That means every, let's say, tourist resort or hotel, they have to follow Sati standards. It is not mandatory, but then it is advised, Sati. Here we have to remember this. Tourism is one of the income generating sectors and most employment generating sectors. That's why any threat to tourism sector as like last year, it impacts the livelihood of millions of people. In this context, such initiatives which provides the standardization in tourism sector, this helps in promotion of this particular sector, Sathi initiative. Next issue is e-Gram Swaraj portal. It was launched last year in the month of April, but then it was finalized and came alive in the month of September. E-Gram Swaraj portal's aim is to bring in transparency and to strengthen the e-governance in the Panchayat Raj system. This assists the panchayats in greater devolution of funds to the Panchayati Raj institutions. It establishes PRIA Soft. This is a software, Public Financial Management System. These two online modules, they help the panchayats manage the vendors and service providers. This will increase the transparency in functioning. It will also strengthen the state's responsibility in transferring the funds to panchayats. That's why e-Gram Swaraj is a comprehensive portal. Next, let us understand environment and disaster management related issues. First one is EIA Notification 2020. Environmental Impact Assessment Notification 2020. This notification was started in the year 1976-1977 according to the Planning Commission's recommendations, but it got statutory recognition in the year 1994. The environmental clearance from the central government is an administrative decision earlier. But from the year 1994, it has become a statutory decision because under Environmental Protection Act, it is made mandatory for this set of projects, let's say mining, other infrastructural projects, etc. Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change has made modifications to the EIA notification in the year 2006 once, now again in 2020. This is according to the Environmental Protection Act 1926. EIA, this particular notification, this particular one is considered a watered down notification because definition of landscapes, what constitutes landscapes, is being diluted. There are many exceptions like pipeline construction, roads, railway lanes. These are removed from the environmental clearances. And then post facto approval. That means once a factory or some infrastructure is built, after that also they can get the post facto EIA approvals. This has been an important critical issue. Post facto issue, many exemptions, definitions are diluted. So that is how many changes are made to this particular EIA notification. EIA notification is released by Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change. Next issue is Sri Lankan oil spill. Sri Lanka, near the western coast of Sri Lanka, a huge oil spill has happened that has led to huge debris in the nearby region. The ship named Express Pearl was carrying nitric acid. This nitric acid is highly inflammable, and these chemicals, they exploded, that has caused the damage to the ship, and the diesel that is placed in the ship that got leaked, that led to oil spill. This ship, it has burnt, it has released huge flumes of chemicals, which has led to air pollution also. That means Sri Lankan oil spill, Sri Lankan this one, is not just causing the marine disaster, it's a atmospheric disaster too. Next issue is Chardham Highway and environmental clearances. Chardham, 4 areas: Yamunotri, Gangotri, Kedarnath, Badrinath. These are 4 areas which together called as Chardham. Chardham Highway is proposed. This Chardham Highway, as it is located in the fragile area of Himalayas, landslides are major recurrent problem over here, and realignment of roads in this particular region can be disastrous. This reconstruction of narrow and distressed bridges, bypasses, this will destabilize the slopes, which can lead to huge scale disasters. Though this is a border region, these roads are being constructed by Ministry of Road Transport. These roads are constructed by Ministry of Road Transport. Next issue is Californian forest fires. In part 1 of this month, we have discussed ocean currents, right? While discussing ocean currents, we said Californian current, which is a cold current, is one of the reasons for dry conditions in the Californian region, which leads to forest fires. Yes or no? See, California, if you look at the place, Sierra Nevada, these are the mountains, and this side, it is a dry place. This dryness is because of the Californian cold current, plus this particular region has Mediterranean climate. Mediterranean climate means during winters they receive the rainfall, during summers they experience the dry spells. Because of these things, plus increase in the temperatures due to global warming and climate change, the overall forest fires are increasing. Californian forest fires last year has destroyed thousands of acres of land. Next issue is blue flag certification. Blue flag beaches are considered cleanest beaches around the world. Blue flag certification is given by FEE, Foundation for Environmental Education. This is voluntary eco labels. These are not mandatory. Voluntary eco labels. This is an NGO. It's not a government organization. It's an NGO. It started in 1985, and India started its own certification program known as BEAMS initiative by Society of Integrated Coastal Management. This under BEAMS initiative, Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change, it is promoting policies for the sustainable development in the coastal regions. BEAMS full form is Beach Environment and Aesthetic Management Services. And this particular standardization is brought in under Integrated Coastal Management Project. The objective of BEAMS program is to reduce the pollution in the coastal waters, promote the sustainable development in the beach facilities. Under Blue Flag certification scheme, many of the beaches are recommended by the Indian government. Next issue is carbon neutrality and request of United Nations Secretary General. UN Secretary General has requested every country to move forward with carbon neutrality, and he has specifically requested India to go for net zero emissions. What do we mean by net zero emissions? Many countries including USA has promised for carbon neutrality by 2050. China has promised carbon neutrality by 2060. Carbon neutrality or net carbon neutrality means emissions should be equal to the absorptions. That means carbon sinks needs to be created. These carbon sinks, either natural carbon sinks or artificially carbon absorbing structures or mechanisms, they should be developed to absorb the emissions in the atmosphere. Net zero means carbon neutrality. Does not mean we should not emit any of the carbon. But it means net zero means countries' emissions should be absorbed. That's what is called as net carbon emissions. Next is Lantana. These are considered one of the highly invasive species. One of the world's 10 worst invasive species, and it has highest concentration in India. What it does is it competes with the native plants for the space and resources, and it alters the nutrient cycle in the soil. It results the scarcity of native forage plants for the herbivores. That's how these plants are diluting the ecological diversity also. lantana species, especially in South India and the mountainous regions. Next issue is Groundwater Extraction Rules 2020. Ministry of Jal Shakti has proposed groundwater extraction rules. Overall, 54% of India faces high to extreme water stress. And India is the largest groundwater extracting country. Remember, largest groundwater extracting country is India. Others use more water than us per capita water, but we are extracting more groundwater. And these rules are released by Ministry of Jal Shakti. And important provisions of this particular guidelines include all the new and existing companies, industries required to seek NOC to expand the groundwater extraction. Installation of sewage treatment plants is mandatory because this has been diluting the groundwater. NOC granted by such cases, they only has to provide the water resources and expand the compliance norms under groundwater rules. These are some of the provisions. That means overall, groundwater extraction rules are to make sure that groundwater extraction is done in a sustainable legal manner. Next issue is Living Planet Report 2020. This is released by international non-profit organization known as Worldwide Fund for Nature. This year's 2020's Living Planet Report is prepared in collaboration between WWF International and Geological Society of London. This is the 13th edition. Biennial means once in 2 years, they track the wildlife population around the world and they release the report. According to this report, wildlife population is declining majorly because of land use change, use and trade of wildlife, natural habitat loss, degradation and deforestation. These are some of the causes for decline in the population of wildlife. And this report has also mentioned that among the vertebrate species, 86% declined. Wildlife population in freshwater habitats are suffering. 2/3 of global population of mammals, birds, amphibians, they are under the threat. 75% of Earth's ice-free land has been significantly altered. 1 in 5 plants is threatened with the extinction. Huge scale impact due to the anthropogenic factors. And this report has also discussed about ecological footprint. What do we mean by ecological footprint? Ecological footprint means biologically productive area and how much are we using, how much of the resources are we using. It can be either fruits, vegetables, fish, anything. And how much CO2 is released because of this. So ecological footprint. And currently ecological footprint as an idea is developed by Global Footprint Network. And humanity's ecological footprint for 2014 was 1.7 planet Earths. That means ideally what we have to consume. Compared to that, we are consuming 1.7 times. That means we are demanding more than what is existing or more than what we can consume on a sustainable basis. So ecological footprint is expanding. That's why Living Planet report says that human ecological footprint should reduce. It should follow sustainable methods. Next issue is Global Initiative to Reduce Land Degradation and Coral Reef Program. This global initiative is proposed in G20 Summit, last year G20 Summit. Global Initiative to Reduce Land Degradation, Global Coral Reef R&D Accelerating Program. Both are launched during this particular time. This aims to, first one, land degradation. Global Initiative on Land Degradation. This aims to implement measures to prevent, halt and reverse the land degradation among the G20 members to achieve the SDGs. Second one, Coral Reef R&D Accelerating Program. It's an innovative action-oriented initiative which creates the global R&D to advance the research and capacity building in coral reef conservation. Coral reef conservation. With regard to land degradation, India has joined part of Convention on Biodiversity against the land degradation, wherein we have promised to reclaim 26 million hectares of land. 26 million hectares of degraded land is promised to reclaim in India. Next issue is Green Strategic Partnership. India and Denmark, they have launched Green Strategic Partnership, They might ask like this: consider the following statements regarding green partnership, and then they give few statements like this: India and Denmark, something like that. Ministry of Commerce and Industry has signed this. Under this, intellectual property rights cooperation with Denmark would be the primary area of focus. This partnership expands the economic ties, green growth, and cooperation on global challenges such as climate change. What do we mean by green growth? Green growth means economic growth should consider the natural resources in a sustainable manner. Use the natural resource in a sustainable manner. This green strategic partnership is signed between India and Denmark. Next issue is Global Biodiversity Outlook 5. Global Biodiversity Outlook is released by under Convention on Biological Diversity. This is a periodic report that summarizes the status of biodiversity. It summarizes the progress of Aichi targets. Aichi targets are the 20 targets that are adopted under Convention on Biodiversity, 20 biological diversity targets, and under CBD. So, what are the achievements under Aichi targets that will be discussed under Global Biodiversity Outlook? This fifth one is overview of the state of the nature. Let's understand a bit on CBD also. CBD is known as Convention on Biodiversity, is a multilateral treaty which is a legally binding treaty. Important. It is a legally binding. Once the country adopts, it has to implement it. Then this convention has three goals. 1. Conservation of biological diversity. 2. Sustainable use of the biological diversity. 3. Fair and equitable sharing of benefits from the genetic resources. To achieve these three goals, it has two important protocols. One is Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety. 2 is Nagoya Protocol on Access and Benefit Sharing. All the UN members except United States ratified the treaty. USA is not part of this particular global treaty. Our last section in this particular month is social issues and Indian society. First one is permanent commissioning of women in armed forces. Supreme Court's decision is permanent commissioning of women should be there. If it is not there, it is violation of freedoms, equal rights, Article 14, Article 15, Article 19, these will be violated. What is this permanent commissioning of women? We have a service known as Short Service Commission. This particular service commission, women are commissioned in the army for a period of 10 years, which can be extended up to 14 years. After 10 or 14 years, male members, they can opt for permanent commission at the end of 10 years service. But earlier, this provision was not there for women. Now, if this provision is not there, pension is not given to the members, because only after serving 20 years in the service, officers are given pensions. Now, let's say if a person serves for 10 years and 14 years, this person will not be, women members were not eligible for permanent commissioning, consequently not eligible for the pension. Now, Supreme Court says this is the violation of the rights. That's why they should be given equal rights. Not in all positions, but see in the specified streams, Army Education Corps, Corps of Signals, Intelligence Corps, Engineers, etc. So in these areas, they should be given the equal representation. So that's why this case was pending from 2011. Now, last year, this particular case was finalized by Supreme Court, and it has said that women also should be given equal representation, and permanent commission of women should be there. Next issue is Section 6 of Hindu Succession Amendment Act 2005. In Vineet Sharma versus Rakesh Sharma case, Supreme Court has said that, recently in 2015 verdict, 3-member bench headed by Arun Mishra, they said that women have equal property rights under Section 6 of Hindu Succession Amendment Act, equal rights and liability as co-parsency. From when this will be applicable? Will this be applicable from 2015, or will this be applicable from the enactment of the date, that is 2005? So this particular Vineet Sharma case has said that succession is as per the law, not through the will. So earlier version of 1950s Act, it violates Article 14 and 18. So now this Amendment Act, 2005 Act, is applicable from the date of enactment itself. In 2015, they upheld the section 6. Now, from when this will be applicable? 2015 or 2005? That was the question. Now, this Vineet Sharma case has clarified that this is the law. That's why this is the year of enactment of law. That's why from this year onwards, they have to be applicable. And the member, that is, for the family head, need not be alive to share the property equally to his daughter and son. So, by biologically, these two are his or her children. That's why property will be shared equally, whether he is alive or not. That is the judgment. Vineet Sharma versus Rakesh Sharma, Section 6 of Hindu Succession Act. Next issue is digital divide in education. Recently, National Statistics Organization survey it has showed that there are stark digital divides across the states, cities and villages and income groups. This has given this report based on the NSO 75th sample survey. So, with regard to this, to bridge the digital divide with regard to education, there are many measures that are taken. What are they? First one is New Education Policy 2020. This new education policy is trying to make the India a global knowledge hub. For that, in schools and college level, digital education is being made mandatory and more emphasis is given to this. Next, Diksha portal. Diksha platform. Diksha means digital infrastructure and knowledge sharing platform. This is a national platform for school education available for all states, under which central government for grade 1 to 12 was launched. This Diksha portal. Then Pradhana Mantri E-Vidya. This was launched under Atmanirbhar scheme. Under Diksha, one nation, one digital platform is provided for the children. Swayam Prabha TV channel. For those who don't have the internet access to internet, through TV channels, various classes are being digitized. So that is known as Swayam Prabha. Online MOOC services, we have Swayam portal, where many online open courses, around 92 courses are there. Around 1.5 crore students are enrolled for massive online open courses. On air, we have Sikshavani, Desi. There are many portals, radio and TV channels, which are providing classes through air. Through air means through TV channels. Next issue is Kiran Helpline. This is the first of its kind helpline launched by Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. This is 24/7 toll-free helpline which is known as Kiran to provide support to people facing anxiety, stress, depression and suicidal thoughts and other mental health care issues. Ministry of Education has also launched an initiative known as Manodarpan. It provides counseling to the students for their mental health and mental health being. This is the helpline number. This helps in catering the mental health services. It has been coordinated by National Institute of Empowerment of Persons with Multiple Disabilities, Chennai, and National Institute of Mental Health Rehabilitation, Madhya Pradesh. And these two are public sector institutions under Ministry of Social Justice. These helpline operators are not going to ask any names and identification details of the individuals. This is available in 13 regional languages and has 660 psychologists and psychiatrists as volunteers. Very, very important initiative, Kiran initiative. Next one is Ambedkar Social Innovation and Incubation Mission. This was launched by Ministry of Social Justice under Venture Capital Fund for Social Scheduled Castes. Venture capital means for the startups, initial funding is provided through venture capital funding. So SC students, so those who want to go for higher educational institutions, who want to scale up their innovation, for them this particular Ambedkar Social Innovation Incubation Mission helps. This particular mission is to promote the entrepreneurship among SC youth. It supports innovative ideas and it is implemented as a venture capital fund for SCs with the funding of 5,500 crores. Under this, 117 companies promoted by SCs, scheduled castes, are promoted. 1,000 SC youth would be identified in the next 4 years. They will be trained. Funding would be provided at 30 lakh rupees in 3 years as equity, that is as investment. Successful ventures, they would be given funding up to 5 crore rupees. Important, startups are important. There is a scheme called Stand Up India scheme for the marginalized sections to promote innovation and to promote startups. We have a scheme known as Startup India scheme. Under Startup India, this promotes this Ambedkar Social Innovation and Incubation Mission helps to achieve the goals of Stand Up scheme also. These are the issues of September 2020. Go through the PDF given in the description. If you want, go through the test series details also. Thank you very much. Please share the feedback in the comment section. We will improvise based on that. Thank you very much. All the very best.